Cycling their way to freedom, how the bicycle helped women earn the right to vote. My name is Jacob Peterson.
My name is Roman Marriott.
My name is Kellan Minty.
My name is Will LeBaron.
We hope you enjoy our documentary about the bicycle's role in women's rights.
From the founding of the United States until 1920, women did not have the right to vote in elections. In fact, they had very little rights. Women were seen as less intelligent, not capable, or too busy taking care of a home and family to be informed. Women living at the turn of the century were not able to vote, own land, be granted custody of their children, have rights when they were married, and even could be forcibly committed to an asylum if their husband chose to do so. They wore very restrictive clothing that did not allow them freedom of movement. They couldn't leave the house without a chaperone.
These unfair conditions made women feel the responsibility to fight for their rights, and the bicycle helped them do it. Susan B. Anthony, a leader in the suffrage movement, said, "I think the bicycle has done more to emancipate women than any one thing in the world. I rejoice every time I see a woman ride on a bike. It gives her a feeling of self-reliance and independence the moment she takes her seat, and away she goes, the picture of untrammeled womanhood." She believed that the simple act of riding a bicycle helped women feel capable, have more freedom, and made them want to be more independent.
The invention of the safety bicycle in the 1880s made biking easier and safer for women wearing longer skirts because of the drop frame style. This kind of bicycle was considered more modest and acceptable for women to ride, and so cycling became a favorite pastime for women.
By 1890, cycling spread across the United States. Elizabeth Cady Stanton called it a steed on which they rode into a new world. The safety bicycle was an acceptable way that women could travel without needing a man to drive them, greatly increasing mobility for women. Cycling contributed to the growing belief that women could take on responsibilities the same as men, and kick the suffrage movement into full gear.
By 1894, it became apparent that women needed better clothes to ride comfortably. Long skirts got tangled in wheels, and restrictive corsets did not allow a woman to take in as much air as they needed when exercising. In Chicago and Boston, advocates like Frances Willard and Kitty Knox helped promote an outfit with no corset and a shorter skirt. Even this proved difficult for cycling though, because skirts would still get caught in the gears and wheels of the bicycle. So a new cycling outfit was invented, called bloomers, named after women's rights advocate Amelia Bloomer. Women cycling in these bloomers, or trousers, became a public spectacle.
Kitty Knox, a biracial cyclist, was one of the first women to wear bloomers at a League of American Wheelmen event in 1894. She made a statement to defy what was considered normal women's clothing at the time. Women took on the responsibility to change their clothes to make it more convenient for cycling, but they also made a statement that they had the right to choose how to dress, and not to dress in a restrictive way just because society said they had to. This defiance challenged traditional ideas about women's proper appearance and roles in society.
Newspapers documented how some women faced jeers or even physical harassment for wearing bloomers, while others gained admiration for their bravery. Many women reported being harassed on the street when they wore bloomers to cycle. This is an effigy of a woman cyclist hanging outside a bookstore at Cambridge University in 1897. Showing her as a cyclist wearing bloomers is a stark example of how opposed some were to the independent-minded new woman of the 1890s. The mob cut down the effigy, beheaded it, and then burned it. Protests against women receiving more rights could get violent. Kitty J. Buckman wrote in 1897 about the awful public humiliation. "One wants nerves of iron. I don't wonder now in the least so many women have given up and returned to skirts. One needs to be very brave to stand all that." Women wearing more practical clothing, even though they were persecuted for it, showed just how determined they were for a political change. This dress reform, inspired by cycling, allowed women to be more mobile and independent.
Men and even some women were opposed to women cycling because they thought it was unladylike, immoral, and dangerous. From 1894 to 1895, people ranging from religious leaders, conservative groups, and even medical professionals opposed women riding the bicycle. A good example of this is the quote, "Cycling tends to destroy the sweet simplicity of her girlish nature. Besides how dreadful it would be if, by some accident, she were to fall into the arms of a strange man." Anti-cycling arguments showed that many were opposed to women having more rights and more freedoms.
In response, women pushed harder. They formed cycling clubs, wrote articles about health benefits, and helped shift public opinion. In 1896, Mary Bishand described the exhilaration of riding a bike. Women taking the responsibility to make small efforts showed how simple acts could change the opinion of the public and slowly make other male-dominated activities like archery or horseback riding more acceptable for women. These small efforts were the starting point for women to create organized campaigns for suffrage, proving that something as simple as the bicycle could fuel a drive for change.
The bicycle also helped women with their suffrage campaigns. Suffragists used bicycles to travel to rallies, distribute pamphlets, gather people for peaceful protests, and organize marches. They could spread their message to larger audiences over the country. Suffragists in New York and Boston rode bicycles decorated with suffrage banners during parades. Women used bicycles as a symbol of their own personal freedom, independence, and self-reliance.
This was a major change. For centuries, women were expected to stay at home. Bicycle helped them claim public space. Though critics mocked suffragists in cartoons, often showing them as masculine, many admired their bravery. Their determination in the face of all this opposition showed that women were taking responsibility for not only their own future, but also their daughters, granddaughters, and great-granddaughters' futures, using bicycles as a vehicle, literally and figuratively, to push for voting rights.
The bicycle was a symbol for the bigger suffrage movement. Frances Willard even wrote a book called A Wheel Within a Wheel, comparing learning to ride to a woman's struggle for independence. She and other leaders like Stanton and Anthony believed that cycling helped women grow stronger, more independent, and more ready to demand their rights.
In the short term, bicycles helped women break away from the old rules. They could travel independently and could take a bigger part in public life. Cycling made it possible for women to be more visible outdoors being active, which helped to make their presence in activities that were traditionally for men more normal.
In the long term, bicycles continue to help women today. In many developing countries, bicycles continue to provide women with access to education and work. Organizations like World Bicycle Relief give bicycles to women to help them travel more freely. A young girl in rural Kenya can now attend and participate in school daily because of a donated bicycle. Urban cycling programs like Black Girls Do Bike in the U.S. create safe, supportive cycling communities for women. Cities like Amsterdam have designed bike-friendly roads that prioritize safety for women riders. A study in Mexico City found that women cyclists reported feeling safer and more independent when using bicycles instead of public transport.
Some people argue that the bicycle's role in women's suffrage has been exaggerated, and other factors, such as the activism of suffrage leaders and legislative battles, played a more significant role.
While it is true that leaders like Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton were already organizing long before bikes became popular, they themselves said that how powerful the bicycle was. Anthony said, "I think the bicycle has done more to emancipate women than anything else in the world. I stand and rejoice every time I see a woman ride by on a wheel. It gives a woman a feeling of freedom and self-reliance."
In the end, many things helped women win the right to vote, but the bicycle played an important part.
It changed how women dressed, how they traveled, and how they saw themselves.
It helped them feel strong, capable, and ready to fight for equality.
The bicycle was more than a way to get around. It was a symbol of freedom. It helped women find their voice and roll towards the future they believed in.